Yesterday, the last and final part arrived here to the studio to finalize the construction. It's right here on the floor. It's extremely heavy. We had to lift it yesterday through the window. Really risky, very stupid. Everything hurts, although we didn't carry it really long, but it's really heavy. I'll try to put it in place and open it a little just to see how it looks and give you like a first impression. But me installing it in here alone today, impossible. Pushed it right here in the corner. All of this needs to be lifted, moved over there in an angle, then try to roll it out here, cut it, roll it out there, and it's not that easy because it's a lot wider than the room. And lifting it above the table with all of the gear is a stupid idea, so probably disassembling the table or trying to move it and then do it. But again, no way I'm doing this on my own. Way too risky, would be way too stupid. I don't want to ruin the studio like just a couple of days away from actually finishing it. So tune in on Monday again, we'll continue. Today we'll do just a simple, quick and easy Q&A.
I'm saying it's you gotta let me know. You gotta love me or let me go.
I know, I said I shouldn't try it. I still tried it. I made like space right here, cleaned the floor really good to put the new one on top. But yeah, it's impossible. I tried for at least half an hour. It's impossible on my own. I can't. It's like, there's no way. We'll have to wait, unfortunately. But let's start with the very first question by Geotirar. I'm not even trying to pronounce it. Why you're not collaborating with other artists? I do collaborate with other artists. I collaborate with singer-songwriters, but not necessarily producers. I like to make my own stuff. I like to focus, and whenever I work with someone else that does basically the same thing, it's always just a compromise, and I just want to make what I want. But maybe eventually, if someone is like-minded, same style, I'm open to it, but I prefer working with singer-songwriters. Delta Music is asking, very interesting, the price for the entire studio. Okay, let's focus on that a little more, because I actually have a list. I wrote down, especially for this occasion, everything I've bought so far to build and construct the studio, so that everyone kind of knows what it costs and how much you can or should or shouldn't spend when you build your studio. Let me check where that list is. Studio building list. Okay. Whew. The legs for the table, 400. All of the absorbing material that is in here and all of the absorbers in the ceiling, all total included, 800 bucks, which isn't that much if you think about how much volume you get for it. Then all of the wood for the floor, those are 2 layers sandwiched with like absorption underneath, 300 bucks. Next up, the DMX controllers, they control the light. Let me see if I can like push the camera upwards. See right there, that black green box? It's taking the power and splitting it to those RGBW lights. So they have 4 colors with the white included, and it needs to be split and controlled. They do it. They cost 435. Then a saw, 140. I didn't have one, like a big saw to cut all of this wood. Then the dampening material that is in the floor. The green itchy stuff for the floor. It's not as thick, 180. You can see it right here, that itchy stuff that is underneath of the floor. It came on these rolls with the aluminum on top. Then the really cool looking chair you can't fully see right here, 400 something. Yeah, that one was maybe a little expensive, but it looks really cool and it's like ergonomic and like all that kind of stuff. Then the wood to build these absorbers. There is like wood on each side and on top and on the bottom, so it's like a frame, like a coffin actually. and the wood was 1,400. Also includes the wood for the front wall, and there's still a little left. I bought maybe 10% too much. And I bought some samples that I didn't use just to test out stuff for the LEDs, for the fabric, and some other stuff, 120 that was kind of wasted. But before I buy something that costs 1,000, I want to see how it looks, how it feels, how it behaves. I tested everything. This makes also the entire construction part a lot more time consuming, but at the end I get stuff that is like working, long-term, perfect, doesn't annoy me. Then the LEDs themselves, just the stripes that are in the tubes, were $1,000. I negotiated really hard. Usually they're a lot more expensive. Then the rubbery stuff that is underneath the floor that makes the entire room float and decoupled from everything else was 1,000. Then just screws for the floor, all of the wood and everything, 50. The fabric all around me, the gray stuff, 1,000. Then some small metal parts for the doors, $40. And more tools, 100. Then wood for the door, 180, like all around. I actually planned having like a second door there, didn't use it, so half of it also wasted. Then the power supplies for all of the LEDs, almost 800. Then again, screws, $60. The LED controller, by far my favorite. I can dim it down and change the room to any color I like. And I can also go in here and select individual ones and give every LED a different color. So really every single tube in here is controllable independently in color and brightness. What else? We got the aluminum for the LEDs. That's the stuff where the LED stripes are glued to. It's in these tubes so that they're cooled and the heat can dissipate. And then the tubes themselves. All of it together, the aluminum plus the tubes, was 1,500. That was also kind of expensive for it just being some No, wait, it was actually 1,100. We negotiated really hard. And then the floor, the gray one, the dark gray one, 600. And then we have some paint for the table. I already bought it. I still need to paint it. Also, these big walls right here where the speakers are built in will be painted, or either a foil will go on top. I estimated around 200. So now let's put this all together. There's some I haven't mentioned, like small stuff. Okay, all in all together, around 10,700. Let's make it 11,000 euros for a pretty huge studio with like speakers built in, acoustically treated to the max. Again, like these absorbers are this thick. It's like overkill to the max. The ceiling, this thick absorption, all of the LEDs around, that's like a lot of gimmicky, but for me it's fun. And I also shoot a lot of videos in here, so I have lights that look really epic. And I think it's, if you consider what you get, and yes, it's not finished. It actually looks today a lot worse than usually because I moved everything for the floor. But if you consider what you get, 10,000 is actually not that much. Plus, of course, you have to calculate all of my time. I build everything DIY. If you're interested in the entire building process, first link in the description, there's a playlist. Every time I made a video where I constructed the studio, it's in there. So you can kind of reconstruct it, try to make something similar, get inspired by it. But yeah, all in all together, 10,000 for the materials. Building it, if you would pay someone else, add another 10K for all of the working hours. I put so many hours into this right here. So many hours. A lot of stuff I haven't shared, a lot of things that went wrong, a lot of failed stuff. Like, this is the biggest project, at least construction-wise, I've ever almost finished. I'm almost there. Just definitely tune in next week when it's finally all done and I'll give you the full big studio tour. And another huge factor we haven't talked about is the equipment. That might be something for another video, because I mean, just the speakers are a couple of thousand, then just the outboard gear in the desk, the synthesizers, the monitor, the computer, like all of it together definitely adds a whole lot more to your costs. a lot more, but that's like individual. Some people don't need any outboard gear. I just restricted myself to recallable units where you can like have like the settings saved in your computer and it communicates with the analog gear back and forth. I like that for the workflow. It's all powered. That's the craziest part. Just by the M1 MacBook Air. And it actually works. It's faster than my previous computer that was twice as expensive. Anyways, we got a couple more questions by Ann Chris. If Apple releases an M1 16-inch Pro next year, will you upgrade or keep the Air? I will probably, I don't know. I will probably say now I'll keep the Air and then still upgrade, but the Air does everything I need, so I'll probably keep it. Oh. James is asking, does Vanessa know how much you spent on your studio in recent times? Paul is asking, how many hours per day are you making music actively? I try to at least 6 hours per day. It's usually like 6 hours making music, sometimes 8, sometimes 12, it really depends. And then business stuff 2 to 4 hours, and then making videos 2 to 4 or 5 hours. It really depends. It's like, it's a mesh of work, all like, it's, I don't know, like I should probably hire someone to follow me along one day making everything I do. It's a little crazy, but I'm used to it for almost 5 years, so it works. How's your girlfriend? Is she fine after the surgery? Yes, she's like 90% recovered, back to normal. She still can run, jump, do any kind of activity. Maybe in a week or 2. Will you travel again to Israel? Yes, hopefully one day once COVID is all done and solved and not annoying anymore. Do you still plan on making an after Corona party by Emil Vega? Yes, I will do like an open door day for the public or invited. I'm not sure, for everyone to experience the new room, the entire studio. Come here, see what it's like, listen to some music on big speakers, acoustically treated room. Yeah, I love to share my working progress with other people. It's just unfortunately only possible this way this year. But yeah, definitely parties coming up. The second I can DJ again, I will so hard. I will get super wasted and like have the craziest night of my life, hopefully soon. There's actually, let me show you that. Like, that's the last thing I'll share with you today. If you walk around the room, there is actually the real room, and behind it is an air gap that goes through all the way to the back of like 40 centimeters, and the same also on the other side. And all of this right here, ignore it, that's messy. I will build here a second room, probably a very small one. That will, I mean, this one looks kind of spacey. This one right here will look very comfortable, like a whiskey old gentleman's lounge with, of course, the extremely nice view onto the water. So thanks a lot for watching. If you're interested, follow along. There's a tiny bit more studio construction coming, and then the big, finally finished studio tour video. I can't wait. I'm so excited.